you do? Hey, man.
Hey man,
Yeah,
thank you. How you doing?
I'm feeling, yeah, good. Great, actually. I'm in LA, Los
Nice.
Angeles, which is a little bit warmer than England.
It is so flipping cold. I mean, it's great. It's one of those lovely, bright April, beautiful
Yeah.
sunset. We went
Yeah.
out tonight. We went out tonight. Had the first meal out we've had in like 6 months,
Yeah.
and we were sitting outside in that, as I was saying just now, in that tradition of great British picnics. You know, where we all sit outside and it's cold, and we have the sandwiches. But we didn't have sandwiches. I had some nice vegan meatballs, so it was yeah, it was great.
Whoa. I know it's
Yeah,
crazy,
so it's
isn't it? Just, getting to go out and to see people.
yeah,
It's,
yeah.
after, so much lockdown, it's really nice.
Well, it
Hey,
was interesting because it was like watching people, and as you said, it's like when you go in a restaurant or whatever, you forget. I mean, I've forgotten about that. How much you're having your conversation, but you're also seeing there's the young couple over there, and then you've got the gang of girls, and then you've got the elderly couple, and you've got sort of a mix of life, and it's like you said, I haven't seen that for such a long time.
no, I know. It's great.
It's bonkers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, hopefully it's all opening up, and
Yeah,
I'm talking to fellow musicians now who are sort of saying, "Oh, I'm going to be doing touring.
yeah,
I'm going to be doing some date." Is that your doggy?
yeah.
Hey,
That's
hey, boy.
Ziggy. Ziggy's a rescue. She's half Springer, half collie. She's completely bonkers.
Love it, love it. We've got a rescue called Rose, whose birthday it was yesterday, actually.
Oh,
So
they're
very
so great.
close.
They're great, aren't they, rescues? But she's got, unfortunately, she's a little bit feral. And
Yeah,
she got a pigeon yesterday, and it was before we know it, it was all devastation in the back garden. So it was, that's what happens with animals, right?
that's what happens. Yes, it's the
Yeah,
law of nature.
yeah,
Suddenly you find a lot of feathers in your garden
yeah.
where a pigeon once was.
And with a big smile on the dog's face.
Yeah. Hey,
Haven't I
listen,
done
Ed,
well?
I want to thank you very much. Yeah, exactly. I want to thank you very much for doing this mix on the Three Imagined album, which I don't know if you know, it's releasing at midnight tonight.
Great.
So you're releasing an album tonight.
It was, listen, man, it was such an honor. It's funny because obviously, the list of artists is
Yeah,
brilliant, isn't it? It's so great.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
was thinking about it, and I'm going to be very un-British here because, usually we don't say these things, but I was thinking about it today, and I was thinking like, well, it's obviously, as artists and musicians, we have huge respect, obviously, for what you've done and all the music you've done, because we've all grown up with that, and you've influenced us all. But the other thing, and this is the un-British part, is I think it's because we all love you so much. I really think,
Oh,
I think that's so true. I think like, I said this to you the other day on the phone, like you have obviously done this music, which is extraordinary, but the way you've conducted your life and the way you are is so cool. Like, and I think, I think it's like, it's really important. I'm a real believer. It's taken me about 50 years to get to this point to be able to say, but I'm a real believer. Say it when say it when you see it. You're so loved, and what you've done has been extraordinary, and the way you've done it, and you're so approachable and down to earth and all of that. So, thank you so much.
hey, man. Yeah, that's very un-British, Ed, but
Well,
I love it. I
you,
love it.
yeah, but it's like you said that what you said at the end of Abbey Road. The love you put out, the love you get, and you sowed all these seeds for us. You allowed us. We come from such an interesting country, and we see the Duke of Edinburgh's just passed away, who was part of that other Britain that we all grew up with,
Mm.
where we didn't say that stuff, did we?
Really not. No. I often say to people when we were kids, in the band, when the Beatles was first starting, there's no way any of us would have said to each other, "I love you."
Yeah.
It just, I mean, we were all trying to be hard, trying to be hard. Liverpool guys, hey, all right, man, yeah, that's okay, yeah, all right, yeah. That's about as far as you got, it's about as
Yeah.
deep as you got.
Yeah.
But then as time goes on, you just realize, why not? It's maybe it's cool to just say, hey, I love you. And yeah, well,
Well, you did it, and you sowed the seeds for all this stuff. You were part of that generation that you did, and you guys really did it. Like, you were so brave and like to the fore, and in a way, kind of like challenging the whole British way. But
mm,
it's so true, and it's like I think it's really changed. Like, I remember watching TV when I was a kid, and we had lots of American TV, didn't we, in Britain in the 70s.
yeah,
And I remember, there'd be that classic scene where the child is, being said by the parent, "I love you, darling, I love you," put you to sleep. And like, I grew up in a household, and listen, my parents loved me, but they never said that. My dad would be like, he'd go like, "Bloody Americans, always telling they love one another." And you sort of kind of grew up with that. And then you go like, well, for me, it was, I don't know if you remember whether there was this big summer of love in '89. I don't know if Stella and Mary got into that whole acid house thing, but
yeah,
it kind of blew the barn doors off it for our generation as well. You guys sowed the seeds, and then we reacted against the 60s, and we were like bloody hippies and all that. And then the acid house thing came along and just reaffirmed that. And suddenly, you're my brother, you're my sister, I love you, I love you. And it's so important. And I think it is changing the generations now,
yeah.
it's the
No,
younger
it's
generations.
it's true. In my experience, as you say, my kids. I think it was a birthday party for Stella when she was, I don't know, maybe 21 or something. It's round about that age, and she had a lot of her friends down to the farm where we lived. We had a big barn, and they're all decorated, and they were rocking away. And she's got a really cool DJ there, Oakenfeld. And anyway, and they're all really rocking, and they're coming up to us. They're going, "Oh, I love you," and we're going, "Oh, well, this is great." I mean, I think we found out later that ecstasy was involved,
Yeah, there's a little bit of that, right?
just a bit, yeah. But hey,
Yeah.
I'll have that over the opposite.
Yeah, well, it changed. I mean, it was that whole thing. It changed in the '80s. Like, we used to go out, that's when, the band that I'm in, Radiohead, formed in '85. And it was,
Oh, you're in
it
a
was,
band?
yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, you know what? Funny enough, I mean, no one can ever compare the band that you were in to, you can never as a band say, "Oh, you're like the Beatles." But we were like school friends, and we knew each other when we were very young, like 15, 14, 15,
Oh
16.
yeah.
And we didn't get signed until we had sort of this 6 year period where we sort of learned our shit and went through different styles. But that
Mm.
was kind of, and I don't think there are many bands. I think that's one of the, obviously there aren't a lot of bands who started when they were kids.
No, no. And that friendship thing is so important. I mean, someone was saying to me, uh, looking back on the Beatles, how do you feel? Um, because the Beatles period has gone from A to Z, and it's a body of work. I've turned into a fan
Yeah.
because I can look at it now and not sort of think, oh, what are we going to do here? Or so I just love that. And the thing I realize is that we were at it a long time, or maybe not a long time so much as millions of hours.
Yeah.
We were starting in Liverpool, just playing as a little crappy group. We really weren't very good. We didn't know much, but then we ended up getting out to Hamburg, and we got better. And so we had this lovely build-up
Yeah.
where we learned millions of songs in Hamburg, but most importantly, got to really know each other.
Yeah.
And I was remembering, yeah, when we were kids, I used to go hitchhiking with George, and we'd go down to Harlock in Wales, and you know, we'd hang, and so those kind of things just really bond you to
Yeah.
each other. You know, I also did that with John. You know, we hitchhiked, and we ended up in Paris. We were trying to get to Spain, but Paris was too cool, so we stopped there. Yeah.
Did you kind of, because it's funny, because what we used to do is like we had very similar. I'd go on holiday with Colin, or Tom would come and see me at Colin. We had all this, and what we used to do a lot was we used to sit around talking. You know, we do. We came from outside Oxfordshire, so it wasn't the urban thing. So we rehearsed in all these village halls, and invariably we'd do 3 hours rehearsal. Then we'd go to the village pub for half a pint, and
Oh,
we
you
used
just
to
froze.
we used to talk about. Are you good? I'm back.
Yeah, yeah. No, you just froze for a
Hello.
minute. You're good now.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. We used to talk about, like, you know, we weren't a very good band either. We were just not
Mm.
very good, but we learnt to play together, and we'd start, and when we do this, and if we get a record deal, we're going to get a van and stuff like, and we talk like that. And I think, you know, like you said, there's a lot of hours that goes into kind of
Yeah.
that whole, that you're sort of creating this energy,
Yeah.
this whole kind of, I mean, and you guys did it to the, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, like I say, you know, if you're sleeping in the same bed as someone,
Yeah,
you're gonna get to know them quite well, you know.
yeah, yeah, it's true.
And we did a lot of that. You know, we'd go somewhere, and I remember going down. We hitchhiked. Me and John hitchhiked down to my cousin Betty's house, where she was living in near Reading, and they only had one guest room, so that was our room. So we top and tailed, you know, that where he was at the top of the
Yeah,
bed and I
yeah,
was at the other
totally.
end.
Yeah,
And it
that's
was
all.
very cute. I have very fond memories, you know, because as you say, you'd be chatting, we'd be talking about music, and we brought our guitars, so we were always playing. But it was very cute because even though we were, oh, I don't know, 19, 18, 19 years old, my cousin Betty had come in the evening. Hello.
This is Una, Paul.
Hi.
Hi,
This
how
is
you
my
doing?
daughter. She's a massive, massive Beatles fan. She's got all the vinyls and stuff.
Whoa, a woman of good taste. Hi there.
Hi, nice to meet you.
She's 15 years old. She's probably, you know, I don't want to do the talking for her, but can I say what your favorite song is?
Yeah.
Let It Be. And it's really, really helped her during this last year with lockdown and everything.
Oh, wow. That's nice. That's
Yeah.
really good. Uh, you know, songwriting is that sometimes you don't know how you wrote it. You don't know how it arrived. And in that case, Let It Be, it arrived after I'd had a dream about my mother who had died when it's probably about 10 years before. And she came to me in the dream, and I was a bit shot with the whole sort of scene. You know, it was just a bit, I think I was doing a little bit too much of everything, and, you know, but she came to me in the dream, which is a beautiful thing because here I was in the same room as this woman I loved. And she was saying to me, don't worry, it's going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. And I felt so soothed. And she said, just let it be. And she said that. And I woke up. I went, wow, that's so great. You know, what a great
Yeah.
idea. And I said, let it be. So I'm glad I love that because then that kind of spirit transfers itself to other people like you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you get the message of it. It's pretty magical.
It's an amazing song.
I love that thing, like music and magic. 5 letters and two letters different, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. I
It's
didn't realize that. I'm
it's
gonna write
true.
that down.
Yeah, music and magic.
Magic.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, exactly. Ding, 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 ding.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
us, or ag.
Yeah. When are you coming back to Britain? Are you coming back for any? Are you getting back here for the spring, or are you out in America for a while?
Yeah, no, I'm coming back. I think it's about uh, I'm coming back for the Bluebells.
Yeah,
You know, I can't be out of Britain when the
yeah.
Bluebells come out. It's like late April, early May. I just love that so much. So I'll be back then, and I've promised to bring some warm weather with me.
Please do. That'd be great.
Yeah. So, you know, it's going to be interesting because you haven't heard this album, and
No, I haven't.
it's going to be nice for all the various people on the album when you get it, and you'll see what everyone else did, and they've all done it with a great freedom,
Yeah.
you know, because it's lockdown, and I don't think anyone said to them, you must do this, you've got to use Paul's drums, or you're not, you know, nobody gave any guidelines. They just sort of said, well, you know, have a go. So people have been very free. It's really nice. It's got an atmosphere, the album, and they're, like I say, they're dropping it at midnight tonight.
It's yeah. It's really. What I loved about the whole brief that you gave, it was just like, do whatever you want. And I think we sent through because it was really tricky for us to do because of lockdown. And I didn't at that stage. I've actually finished having a home studio, so I was going into the church with Paul Epworth, and we had like a day, and I think we sent something through to you, but your vocals were all on one stem, and because we couldn't, and the brief was, you came back and said, listen, don't pay such, you know, don't pay homage to my vocals and we're like, great, can we get in there? And you know, it's you know what it's like. You just want to, you just want to be able to have a go and not have someone breathing down your neck or whatever, or telling you, you just do it and do what feels right in that moment, you know.
Yeah. Well, you'll see when you listen to the album that comes over.
Yeah, good.
It's nice. The guy from Massive Attack agreed to do something, and the track that he chose was my track on the album on McCartney 3, which was like an 8-minute thing. And I always thought, well, maybe I'm being a bit indulgent, you know, 8 minutes, maybe I should cut it down and be a bit more sensible. Well, his is 11 minutes. Yay!
Yay!
Yeah.
Well done, Robert.
Yes.
He's great.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
And some people just didn't, you know, didn't even use my vocals. They just kind of remade a track that was sort of vaguely like the one I'd written.
Yeah, I love what Beck did, and I love what he said about it. He put a lovely little note about. He said he had a great evening with you and Nancy one night, and you were dancing out in LA. And he said when you sent him the track, he was just like, right, I want to do something that gets Paul dancing.
Yeah, it's you know, it's one of those things. Nancy and I like to dance, kind of. So you get to a place, you know, and there's some good music. I mean, round about that time that he's talking about, we'd go to often after things like the Grammys, then there's a little bit of a sort of you know, party or something. I remember there was one where it was Daft Punk were hosting, and we went down there, and that was come on.
Yeah.
Man.
I remember you coming to one that we had in LA back in about 10 years ago.
Do? Oh my gosh, I remember that.
Yeah, and Questlove was DJing.
Tom was doing some DJing.
Yeah.
Tom got on there and DJ'd, and Nigel too.
Yeah, and also Questlove came and DJ'd and did an incredible set. And I remember I think he put on Paperback Writer.
I remember that. Yeah.
It was wicked.
It did sound good.
Well, it's so interesting because like when you play, it's funny. I had a similar experience with at a party years ago when we used to go to this great party, my wife and I, called Bad to the Bone. And I walked into this party and it was like a house, the ultimate house party. And they had Baby Love by the Supremes really loud through the PA, light paperback writer. And you suddenly realize, oh my God, these are dance tunes. It's like, you know, if you put them through a PA, it suddenly takes, because we've heard them on our stereos and in our car, and they sound amazing. But suddenly turn them up live and you feel the bass.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I've been to some parties, you know, where it's mainly, you know, club music and stuff. A bunch of young people sort of dancing and stuff. And then suddenly they put on like Twist and Shout by the Beatles.
Yeah.
That works.
It really works.
That's a good dance song. Yeah.
It's
I love
amazing.
that.
And I totally love, completely, this party that we used to go to was really eclectic, and it would do that, and it would play, you know, it would play they would play Twist and Shout, but they play Prince, they play something really like Aphex Twin or whatever. And it's so interesting because you realize how much of the music that maybe was from your childhood or before was actually dance music. That's what people were doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we were listening to it on little trannies or something. So
yeah,
it didn't seem, but when you get it down the club, you hear the big bass.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
man. Were you, can I just, as a complete muso, were you, like, I've read that James, you know, for me, your bass players, they were great, obviously great, but you and James Jamerson, for me, like the 60s, was Jamerson somebody that when you heard, were you like, from the Funk Brothers, Motown, were you like, oh, this guy's like, pretty amazing?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think till then, you know, bass players had stuck to quite a sort of background role, or is it rather sort of,
yeah,
you know, that was about as far as you got, kind of thing. And then he starts coming out with wow, and he's got a tune going. It really turned me on. That and Pet Sounds, where the bass is very interesting too. It made me think, oh, wait a minute, you know, I've got a role here, and it's not just a background role.
Well,
you know, and so it excited me, you know. And some of those records around about that time when Motown was popping, I mean, they're very busy. My bass part is very busy. But I've just done a thing with Rick Rubin. You know Rick?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Rubin. And he's done, it's a little series they're putting together, actually. But he took the records and took out my bass. You know, he had the multi-track. He took out my bass. And you hear the song is kind of ching, 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 ching. It's quite sedate. And then he puts in me and Ringo's things.
Yeah.
So, whoa, listen to that. So you can make a big difference on the bass. And Mr. Jameson, as I say, was the man who turned me on.
Well, I read, it's interesting you say that, because I read the Jeff Emmerich book that he talks about working with you, like working with you on the bass to get that bass sound. And he said in the book that quite often, you know, in the middle period, you would put the bass on last. You know, you might put the bass.
Yeah.
And so I was demoing. I did a lot of demoing for my last records. And I'd never really played bass before because Colin in Radiohead is such a great bass player. But what I did was I demoed without the bass. I put everything, and then I did the bass last, and it was revelatory. Like how you can change a song, right? You completely. And if you're not a bass, but if you're a guitarist, you think, oh, you know, you don't realize how much the bass actually changes. And like you said, you change, and the chord, the note that you play underneath it can change the chord, make it. It's just,
Yeah. I mean, you know, when you're playing a G chord, say for instance, you normally play a G for the bass. You know, you play the root. But if you play a D, it suddenly holds everything up. You get this tension. I I mean, that's what I love about music. I'm still discovering all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the thing. It's you're still finding things that intrigue you. You know, the
Yeah.
difference you can make. I'm going to have a piece of gum.
Oh,
There's
good.
my gum. There's my
Nice.
gum. And here I'm going to pop it in.
I can have some water.
All right.
I haven't had my
Well,
birthday cake yet. Una's made me a birthday cake. We haven't eaten it yet.
you haven't? Wow. So now it's 9 o'clock for you.
Yeah, we'll have some. We'll have some in a sec. Gonna watch a
You're going to
movie.
do
Gonna
that.
have a birthday movie, and you know, my birthday movies. I'm a bit like I like going back to the same films. You know, for like I'm a bit like I love watching new films, but for treats. So I'm feeling Interstellar tonight.
Ooh.
We're big fans of
Ooh.
it. You know that film Interstellar?
Yeah.
Love that
You
film.
like a bit of galaxies and a bit of.
Well, I like it because I like that, but I like because at the heart of it, it's about love, you know, and it's to me, it gets me crying. It's the love of a father and their daughter,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Oh, it's
So
beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. I love that. And you know, bringing it back to music, that so reminds me. You two remind me of. I was in a concert once. It's funny because this conversation come around full circle. Um, I was in a concert once doing Let It Be. So I'm up at the piano, I'm doing Let It Be. I look out in the audience, and there was a very tall, good-looking man, um, and a girl beside him. It was obviously his daughter, and she had sort of long black hair. And she's sort of looking up at him, and he's looking down at her. And I'm singing the soundtrack, and it was like, it was quite difficult to like not just hold back and. But it was
uh,
beautiful. You know, I love that. It's so lovely.
it's amazing that you know what. It's so lovely to hear that because you know there could be a lot of people. You know. You could have done the Paul McCartney in Vegas thing, which is thank you very much, you know, and it, you know what I mean, and but you
Yeah,
feel it still, and that's why we love you because we can tell
yeah.
you still feel it, right?
Well, well, thank you. I mean, I certainly do.
Yeah,
There's no denying it. It's like, it's just, you know, we're so lucky
yeah,
to be able to do this in life. There's so many people who are really good musicians and stuff, but they don't get as lucky as we've got. I mean, it's not
yeah.
all luck. A lot of it's hard work and skill, obviously, but it is great. It's a great job.
It's great, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
I feel I've felt a bit guilty over the last year, sort of feeling a bit down and stuff because I'm aware that it's like our job is like winning the lottery, right? We've
Mm.
got the golden ticket, and like you said, there's hard work, but you don't mind doing hard work if it's something that you love, you know?
Mm. The payoff is the best thing.
Oh,
You know, when you've struggled with something, I'm actually, after this, I'm actually going to a studio out here, working with a young producer. And I was with him yesterday, and it was a bit of a struggle. You know, I was trying to think of what I wanted to do on the bass. And I thought, oh God, you know, I'm on the spot. I don't really know these people too well. I've got to try and be wonderful, but it was okay. And in the end, it was like, oh, wow, that's
yeah,
good. That's good.
yeah.
And so that payoff is what makes it all worthwhile.
It's that, I mean, I guess what you're also saying is like what I learned from, you know, when you go and play with other musicians who are great musicians, and I'd only really played with Radiohead until about maybe 15 years ago. You know, I
Mm.
wasn't in any other bands and, you know, because it was full on. And then you go and play with other musicians and Johnny Marr and Neil Finn and stuff like that. And I think one of the great things was I was really nervous before you do that because you think, shit, you know, am I
Mm.
going to be any good? You know, how am I going to be?
Yeah,
And you realize that actually uncertainty and insecurity is all part of it as well, right? It's, you know, and that's kind of
yeah,
necessary as well. That
yeah,
kind of ups your game, but it's also part of the humility. I think it's so important to have, you know, that
Yeah.
humility with music. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
because the moment you don't, you get your ass kicked. And that's what I also love about music. That I always say this, I think music is like the biggest bullshit detector, you know? Like it can really sniff it out, and
Really.
you get your ass. It's because it is magic. You know, there's obviously stuff that we do, but also it comes through us, right? We, you know, we got these
Yeah.
little antennae, and if
Yeah.
we're all, you know, Jack the
Mm.
Lad, those
Yeah.
antennaes aren't working so well.
No, I know. That's a case of do you know who I think I am?
Yeah, yeah, right.
There's a few of those people around.
Yeah, there
Do
are
you
a few
know
of
who
those.
I? Do you know who I am?
And
No, but
do you know?
it's I say every time I go in the studio, you know. And the other added factor I think is when you've had success, you're now worrying that in their eyes, the people you're working with, they're going to say, "Come on, then, let's see
Yeah,
this
yeah,
brilliance you're renowned for." You go,
yeah.
"Holy shit! I'm not really brilliant. I'm just like, you know."
Oh, man, I'm so. Do you know what? That so warms my heart, Paul, to hear you say that because
Well, it's
you
true.
know,
You know, you can't get around it. I don't think.
yeah, that's that beautiful. I totally agree with you, and yeah, totally. Almost every time you start a new project with somebody, a new producer or something, it's kind of, and you would, yeah. I mean, you know, almost like the bigger the projects that you've had in the past, the more, you know, but
More pressure, yeah,
more
yeah.
pressure, right?
Hmm.
So have you got another
Well,
album on the go? Have you got more music? Are
no,
you?
no, this is. I just met this guy Andrew Watt, who's a new young producer. He's probably not that new, but I mean, to me he is. And I just met him the other day. He's got a great little studio, which is in Charlie Chaplin's old house.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
real Hollywood history, you know.
Yeah.
And he's got this fabulous little studio in the bottom. So I was going around maybe to just have a cup of tea with him, and we got talking, and I said, well, you know, I was talking about something. I said, I don't happen to have a left-handed guitar here, do you? You go, yes, we do. So, so suddenly I got a guitar, and we just took it from there. And I said, should we put this down? So we ended up doing a track. But again, you know, it's not me trying to make a new album. It's just doing a song with this guy
Yeah,
who's fun to work with. So
that's great.
it may well be on a next album. I'm not in a hurry. You know, we've got tonight's album coming out.
Come
Your album.
on. Yeah,
Yeah,
your
man.
album.
It's
So
our
cool.
album. It's our
So
album.
it's,
You
you know,
know.
it's so funny because like, you know, like I'm 53 today, so I'm still chuffed that we're to be doing this. But I love that thing in life. Like my 10-year-old boy, I was a Beatles obsessive. So you know, like you have these moments in your life. I don't know if you had it when you met, I don't know, when you met Elvis or something, but when you have these moments when you think about like my 10-year-old self is going absolutely nuts here. You know? And it's great because
Yeah.
you have these conversations with people who, you know, and I think we're so lucky because in music you tend to meet your heroes along the way, right? And
Mm.
usually it's a fantastic connection and a conversation like we're having now. Sometimes it can be a bit weird, but usually it's great. And it's that, you know, it's that circle. It's that beautiful circle that happens, you know?
It
So
really is. Yeah. No,
yeah,
I have that too. Like you say, we met Elvis, and we, you know, since we were kids, you know, hitchhiking on holiday and stuff, and there'd be an Elvis record, and it would just be like God.
yeah,
And this, you know, it was just his music was like you didn't know how they did it. You just couldn't
yeah,
figure out how he made
yeah,
these sounds and how he sang so beautifully and loosely. And then you meet him, and it's like, oh, it's like nervous, but he was great. You know,
oh
he was
good,
really yeah. He was very friendly, and he was starting to play bass. He plays bass on one or two tracks, Elvis tracks. Um, so I could talk to him about the bass.
yeah,
So that gave me a, you know, a conversation opener.
Did you think with because so it's a bit like Elvis is like your specialized subject in terms of that was the music you grew up with. Like from afar, Elvis is a generation removed from me.
Yeah.
And I love, I remember the summer of '77 when he died. They played his movies on the TV all summer. I'm 9 years old and I watch them because there's nothing else on TV, right? But I watch them and I'm sort of transfixed. And then you sort of get into Elvis and you listen to stuff. And it's that thing that the stuff that he did right. Am I right in thinking the stuff that he did before he went into the army had the magic? Because he had Bill Black, Scotty Moore. He had his brothers around him. And then after the army, it all became a bit showbiz and didn't quite have the soul. Would that be fair?
That's definitely how we felt. Yeah.
Right.
People in those days, they go into the army and they say, it'll make a man of you. Yeah. And we didn't like that idea.
No.
It's like, I'm not sure I want to be made a man of.
No.
But he did. But no, the stuff prior to the army was just so great. I read quite a bit about him and some of the books, his story. And it really is just a country boy, and he's very influenced by the black people who live across the tracks. And he would go to those clubs and listen to a lot of black music live. So it was just so amazing. Anyway, there it is. Yeah. So it was a joy to meet him. We tell him all this, how much we loved all this stuff. Now the other crazy thing though was kind of unfortunate because with the Beatles coming in, it kind of edged him out, and that was the last thing we wanted to do.
Yeah.
We never wanted to be, edging Elvis out of the picture. But so anyway, he was gorgeous.
But he was all right. You didn't get any sense of him being like he knew that these four guys from Liverpool were taking his space.
No, it was great, and I prefer to remember it like that because, in actual fact, later he did get a bit funny. He went to visit Nixon once.
Oh yeah,
it's sort of documented somewhere. But he starts busting us. He starts saying, those Beatles are not so good, they're taking drugs and all. I'm thinking, you dirty rotter.
And there's that photo of him with Nixon in it as his pupils are completely dilating. He's stoned off his head.
And the Secret Service giving him a gun, and he's wild. But I mean, we forgave him. It's like crazy.
Oh, beautiful, so great.
He definitely tried to bust us, I must say.
Bastard.
Hey, listen, you'd better get to your cake. This is going to be a wonderful cake, I can tell, by having met the cook. So
thank you. Thank you so much.
Cheers, man. So, well,
big
thank
love.
you. Thank you, man. Yeah, same here. And thanks very much for doing the track. I look forward to you hearing the whole album and enjoy it. And I think it is a bit dancey, the album, because a lot of it's sort of mixy and so great. So thanks, man. On your birthday. Thank you so much. Lovely to see you.
Love you, man. Thank you.
Lots of love to you.
Lots of love. Take care.
See you, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.